All right, let's take our first look at the Fanduel slate. Shout out to them for putting the Rutgers Illinois game because I was pumped for that to be a DK spot, and yet Fanduel delivered. Sometimes Fanduel gets the slate right, sometimes DK gets the slate right. That was a game that I really wanted on DK. We've got a couple games in this thing that I think are fabulous game stacks. Game theory standpoint, one thing I have noticed from the top of the leaderboard in these ones on FanDuel that I need to do somewhat of a better job when I'm building is it's a lot of quarterback double stacks and then a quarterback single stack that are in the top 10. So getting that right, and it doesn't have to be a bring back in a situation or in a game, getting that right is probably the move rather than trying to. Obviously, Haynes King is a terrible guy to try to stack, but a number of guys like a Sawyer Robertson in this instance. So, since we're starting with this game, Sawyer single stack or Sawyer double stacks are going to make a lot of sense and statistically be the thing that kind of gets you over the edge here. Starting out with that Baylor and UCF game, 60.5 in this one, 32.5 Baylor, 28 UCF. Definitely a high scoring environment, a game you're going to want exposure to. Sawyer Robertson leads off at 11-3. It's expensive. You're not getting a discount with his lack of rushing upside. He hasn't exactly been a monster, but if we can get a 35, 38 point game, he will be an optimal play. You're going to need something in the 30s from your quarterback likely to be that dominant force. He has last week. I just would discount that game. 20 really is his floor. You're not getting any less than 20. That's a guarantee. Last week, the pass volume was diminished. The yards were diminished. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that Cincinnati just flat out played keep away and ran the football down their neck between Tyree Walker and Evan Pryor. Notably, Evan Pryor is going to be out this week. That's already been announced, but they're not on this slate. He needs to get back to throwing 3 to 4 touchdown passes. This is a spot against the UCF team that he can very well do that. I kind of refuse to play Taven Jackson, the Illinois or Indiana transfer. He doesn't have the rushing upside. I don't like the pass volume, the pass game from this team. That would not be the way that I would play this one. I mentioned it on DK. I'm not playing Taven Jackson. Bryson Washington, they're saying undisclosed injury. I have heard it's a concussion this time. I expect him to not play this week, but I also think even if he does, I wouldn't want to touch him anyway at 8-1. Usually I'd be all over this. He's disappointed me. He might be the player that's lost me the most money this entire season. So I'm out on Bryson Washington until further notice. I am in on Miles Montgomery. His rush volume, I do like at 7,100 or 7,900. I do like the option here. We mentioned how Cincinnati was able to run the football down Baylor's throat. That is the path of least resistance facing this Baylor Bears defense, which is strange and probably why Dave Aranda is going to end up getting fired here soon. We can definitely see a Kansas-esque performance from Montgomery, even though he's not an explosive back. 20 carries, 2 touchdowns, 100 yards. I would not be shocked with 16 to 20 points at 7,900. That's a relative value, and it's going to allow us to get some of those higher end stacks. I would suggest build your big stacks and then build around those accordingly. Team jam them in, right? Jaden Nixon would be your secondary option. Now, he's explosive, and he's your punt shot in the dark at 6.6. I prefer Montgomery because of the volume, but the fact of the matter is Jaden Nixon, who formerly of Oklahoma State a few years ago, and I believe Western Michigan a year ago, has now moved into this backup secondary role. He's very similar to Evan Pryor, just as of Cincinnati, just doesn't get quite the volume. Whereas Montgomery is going to be more of your Tyree Walker. You're kind of slam him in there. You're going to have Nixon hit these explosives. I don't think Baylor gives up explosives like that. They just kind of give up like 10 to 20 yard gains consistently. And then I think Walker's going to be the one that punches it in around the goal line. But Nixon is capable of ripping off big chunk plays. So at 6.6, if I was stuck in that spot, I don't hate taking shots on him. Now, with Washington out, Michael Turner vaults up the leaderboard here. He's going to be the top option in this backfield. Really, he's found the end zone once on the season. They're not the best running football team. It's going to kind of fall on Sawyer Robertson. But if we get full word that Washington's out as anticipated, I would expect 10 to 15 carries, maybe 17 to 20 touches for Michael Turner. He is the smaller freshman back. Where's the helmet condom? But he's not bad. So it's set 6.9. I don't mind him. I'd far prefer him to Jaden Nixon in this spot, but I'm mainly going to want to play this game through Sawyer Robertson with pass catchers and then Miles Montgomery as the bring back in the shootout situation here. But Michael Turner is in play as a standalone back if I want to go to the running back in this game. Wide receiver wise, there's a very clear pecking order for Baylor. I don't really want to play any of the UCF guys. Wade and Thomas and Black would be the top options for me. I'm not a big fan of Demercant. So if I was going to take a punt play, it would be Thomas, Wade, or Black, but I don't love any of them particularly. They might end up being punt options for me once I run projections. I kind of try to ignore UCF as a whole on the season because I haven't really, outside of the running backs, I haven't played them at all. I choose not to. Cole Wilson's not on the field enough for me to take shots at 6K. Kobe Prentice, not on the field enough for me to take shots at 6.2. Hawkins on the field, not a preferred option for me, but these are all guys that are viable and could easily step up and do something. It's just, if you're double stacking Sawyer, the very simple route is Trig Cameron. Trig's going to get, they say they want to get him double-digit targets every week, and he had 4 targets last week. So that was mainly because of the pass volume. But Trig is a absolute mismatch every time he's on the field. An absolute dominant force. No matchup nightmare at 6'4". I have no issues taking shots on Trig and Cameron together. They're the most likely to score touchdowns consistently. I'm a Cameron fan. I will always prefer Cameron to Trig. It's just my nature. His explosive capability is there. Last week, he should have had a better game. He was kind of getting held all over the field. And I did notice that Baylor was consistently running trips on the left with Cameron single on the right. And the only time that they did not roll safety coverage over the top with Cameron was the back shoulder touchdown that he caught against Cincinnati. So teams, what they're doing is just rolling that safety and putting them basically on the hash to that wide side where Cameron is lined up. And they're putting less guys to that trip side, which is kind of freeing Trig up for more targets over there. And they're kind of saying, hey, Hawkins, Prentice, Cole Wilson, go ahead and beat us We're not going to let Cameron beat us, and then we're going to allocate extra. We're going to have plenty of resources over there, paying attention to Trig, and they're not getting the Hawkins, Prentice, and Wilson aren't really getting open on that left side of the field when they're in that trip set over there. So I'd prefer, personally, if I'm running this offense, I would like to have Trig and Cameron on the same side of the field, make them put 3-on-2, and then I'm guaranteed to have a 1-on-1 on that side of the field. But what do I know when I have two very good weapons that are going to be over there? I'm not getting paid enough as a coach to do that. I'm not a coach anywhere, but that's mainly because if I coached high school kids, my wife says I'd get fired in a week because I yelled obscenities at them. So, I come from an old school background. Anyway, Miami taking on SMU. This is going to have some semblance of firepower. I do not mind SMU to win this game. But I think they're probably going to get stomped through the air because SMU's pass defense leaves a lot to be desired. Team that I've picked on consistently. 51.5 over under in this one. 32 points for Miami, 19.5 for SMU. I don't think SMU is very good on offense. That's just me personally. 8.7K for Kevin Jennings. He's lost his mobility. It's not there. He's battled an ankle injury. You notice he's most yards rushing this season's 20. He can throw it, but this is not a situation where I want to trust him against this defensive line that is absolutely stacked for the Hurricanes. 8.6 on Beck, I do not hate. I think there is a very viable way that he gets to 300 yards passing in this one with 3 to 4 touchdowns and hits you 25 points. I think a very similar line to this FSU game is in play, given the just absolute horridness that is the SMU secondary. 25 points well in play. So at 8.6, I will run back doubles because the price is so cheap. And it's going to depend. Like if there's some guy else that I'm looking forward to, whatever, this would be an ideal slate that if they did have Jeremiah Love at 12K, I'd have no problem paying back doubles with Jeremiah Love. But it's going to depend on what the running backs look like and yada, yada. Or if I want to get a very high end, like a Sawyer and Cameron or a Sawyer and Trig as my single stack, back doubles could end up being interesting. Granted, I have no idea what the price is of this wide receiver spot. It's going to come down to what Daniels and Tony are priced at. Mark Fletcher is going to be out of the pool for me. I think everybody's going to be on Fletcher at 8.9. He got so much work last week, got the 3 touchdowns. That's a rain game and against Stanford. SMU, very good. They're a pass funnel defense. They're good against the run, very good against the run. One of the better teams in the country against it. But they are so bad on the back end that I think you're going to see Miami just huck and chuck down the field, and Fletcher's just not going to be able to do too much on the ground here. TJ Harden mentioned it in the DK video. He's not playing well whatsoever. Kind of a disappointment to me. I missed on that one a little bit in my SMU preview. I kind of expected him to be like 60 to 70% of what Brashard Smith was last year. He's a capable pass catcher. They just don't throw him the football. It's kind of disappointing. I think their offensive line is not up to snuff compared to what it was last year. Chris Johnson Jr. is probably going to end up taking that on more role here. But the Miami defensive line is so just stout, just dominant force over there with Ruben Bain. I just no shot. I'm going to play a SMU running back in this spot. Now, all right, so the double stack's well in play. I don't love this price on Malachi Toney, but he is so good that at 8.9, I'm going to have a hard time not paying for him. I would discount this Stanford game because of the rain last week. Louisville, just an absolute dominant game. FSU, absolute dominant game. So I'm way in on that. and I'm going to be well exposed to Malachi Tony in this spot. I think 100 yards is well within play. So pairing him with Beck is a great option. And then CJ Daniels. I'm not the biggest Daniels fan. I fully admit that. But if we get that SMU, like look at the Florida State game as our guideline here. If I can get that 22 out of Daniels for 5 for 78 and 2 with what Tony got, which is 7 for 107 and 2, that's 26. And then my Beck score of 25, that means they are all in that 25 range. So now we're at 75 points from our triple stack. That's a top 5% outcome. Certainly, like that, you can't go into it expecting that, but know that that is the ceiling here because nobody else is really getting a ton of targets in this offense. I had hopes for Elijah Lofton coming into the season. As it says in this news, he's expected to see a larger role. We got 1, 3, 4, like he's just not. So discount there. Most of your target volume is going through Tony and Daniels. So buy into that. I don't think you need to bring back. Hudson's overpriced in my mind. He's the top wide receiver option. But this is the week that I don't really trust it because Romello Brinson is a Miami transfer. You love buying into narratives, but he's kind of fallen off a cliff since Hudson's returned. I'm just not going to play a bring back in this spot. I'm going to play Miami to dominate. If I'm going to do it, it's going to be Beck with Daniels and Tony. I need the triple if I'm going to play Miami for the simple fact that I don't trust Beck to get more than 2 touchdowns to either of these guys. And these are the 2 guys he's going to throw to because it's such a concentrated target tree. So, yeah, my exposure, my sole exposure to Miami is going to be Beck doubles, nothing else. That's it, period. Vandy takes on Texas. This game's terrible. 45.5 in this one, 23.5 Texas, 22 Vanderbilt. Not touching a soul in this game. Does not matter to me if Matthew Caldwell plays. Doesn't matter to me. I wouldn't even care if Trey Owens was playing, to be honest with you. At 4.5K, if they said, hey, Trey Owens is going to get the start, at 40, I still don't need that. So I'm probably out. I don't trust this game whatsoever. Texas's defense is still stout enough that I don't want to play Pavia at 10-3. I don't want to play Arch because Vandy's defense is decent enough. Weisner's not playing well. Baxter's back, but he's kind of half in, half out. Alexander's barely getting enough carries. McKylan Young had a long touchdown run. I'm out on all of that. Wingo, he's just not efficient whatsoever. He gets peppered with targets. I wouldn't play him. Livingstone, he just finds a way to catch a touchdown but can't get yards anymore. I'm out. DK, I'm willing to play DeAndre Moore for cheap. If I had to punt, I'm okay with punting to DeAndre Moore, but he's like the only guy in this entire offense that I'm even thinking about. I don't know that I've been disappointed by another player more than Eli Stowers this season. He's a guy that I routinely expect to go for 80 to 100 yards with a touchdown. He just hasn't been on the field. He's splitting too much reps with Cole Spence. So I'm just out. I don't even want to play this game. There's not enough upside in this game for me to even play it. So I'm ignoring it, period. Penn State, or the shell of what was a once promising season for Penn State, takes on Ohio State. 43.5 over under in this one. 32 points for Ohio State, 11.5 for Penn State. I'll still tell you, I think 11.5 is too much. I think they're under that. I think 10 is the ceiling for this Penn State offense. No shot I'm touching them whatsoever. Julian Sayin at 9.6, very similar to Carson Beck, very similar play to Carson Beck. You're going to have to hope that he throws for 300 and 3 to 5 touchdowns. No rushing upside in this thing. You can do it. I don't think you need to rule that out. For a 32-point total with the lack of a run game and 2 very clear stack partners, I think Sayan's in play for a double stack. I think Sayan's in play for a single stack. So 9.6, I'm open to it. It's going to come down to what the price of the wide receivers are as to what I would rank the Miami stack higher. Mainly because I think Bo Jackson's decent and I think CJ Donaldson's decent, and they're both going to score touchdowns. 0% chance of touching either Penn State back. Nobody has had a more precipitous fall off than Nick Singleton this season. From my thought process of him, he stinks now. I don't know what it is, but he stinks. James Peoples, similar. Thought he was going to be the 1A here. He's not even in the picture. Donaldson's a touchdown or bust guy. I'm not playing that. Bo Jackson doesn't get enough carries around the goal line. I'm out at 7.7. There's just other guys I would rather play that we've already seen, mainly from the Baylor and UCF game there. Ooh, 10-6 for Jeremiah and 9-7 for Carnell Tate. That's a hard double to make. Jeremiah has been fine, but he hadn't been great. I don't think they've needed him. So the fact of the matter is that when they haven't needed him, he hasn't had that like 100-yard, 3-touchdown game. You know, the best game he's had was that Ohio game with 153 and 1 and then 1 rushing. But other than that, man, he hasn't been worth the price tag. So I wouldn't go out of my way to get Jeremiah. Can he kill you? Yes. Carnell Tate, in all honesty, has been better from a ceiling perspective, but the floor is lower. But at 9.7, that's a tough price tag to swallow as well. The Ohio game is the one that you can draw to and say, all right, if I get 20 out of Tate and I get 30 out of Jeremiah, then what am I getting out of Sayan? 25. So that's what, 45, 75. So it's about the same as those guys. Against Florida State, I think the triple's in play, but it's way more expensive to pay for the Ohio State double stack than it is to pay for the Miami triple. I think it's in play. I just don't like it as much. I prefer the Miami triple to the Ohio State triple because Penn State's just going to be able to muck it up enough. And I don't think their defense is particularly good enough that they are just going to magically start stopping Donaldson or Jackson from stealing rushing touchdowns. Defense could easily score for Ohio State. I think Miami can give up a little bit of points that's going to push that offense a little bit more. I don't know that I get the Ohio State triples. I've kind of just said if Ohio State beats me on offense, Ohio State beats me on offense this season. But they really haven't most weeks. All right. Rutgers against Illinois. Now, I did put the Greek Rifle as the cover boy on this show. It's mainly because I didn't know who was going to have good pricing, and I thought it was funny to put Ethan Callie McManus as the freaking cover boy. Plus, I love this game. 62.5 over-under. 37.5 Illinois. I think they're going to get to that total roughly. And 25 for Rutgers. I think they go over that. I feel like the over in this game is well in play. Rutgers gives up points in bunches. They score points in bunches. I love this as a game stack. I'm going to double stack both of these quarterbacks plenty and or single stack them. No problems with either. 9.3 and 9.5 are beautiful price tags. Callie McManus, the Greek Rifle, comes in at 9.3. He's going to throw for 300 yards. He doesn't have much rushing upside, but I feel like 20 plus is in the books. So give me that. I'm interested there. Perfectly happy playing him. Other than the Oregon game, he's thrown the football really well. You know, put up numbers on Iowa. He's got sneaky rushing potential to score a rushing touchdown. I don't know that Illinois' defense is particularly great, but Altmaier at 9.5 has a very good matchup as well. He's got sneaky rushing potential in there. He's got ceiling, and he can throw for 3 bills easily in this spot. He has both have concern that their running backs are decent. Like Antoine Raymond's priced up a little bit more than I would like given the matchup. He's going to get a ton of carries The floor is good. I'm going to have to base it on projection, but I think they trail in this one, which is going to lead to the Greek rifle throwing it a lot more. He does have some pass catching capability like he did against Washington with that 7-catch game. But then again, like, he's just going to get a ton of volume. So I think you have to keep him in the pool and consider him a play. The concern with the Illinois side is if they jump out to a big lead, and based on the projection, that's what they think, who gets the touchdowns and the work on the ground for Illinois? Fagan, he's just not a workhorse. I wish he was. He's just not. He's been too banged up. He's a freaking refrigerator when he's out there and healthy, but he's always been hurt. Khalil Valentine, good player, doesn't get a ton of carries either. So what is that, deal there? He has the 22 carry game against Purdue, but that's mainly because Fagan and Lawfrey were banged up. He had 10 against Purdue, 5 and 6. And then Lawfrey, I like, but he's not getting carries either. So if they're all going to split at 5, 6, 7 carries, it's tough, man. If they're all going to have sub 10 carries, as to know what to do here. That I'm going to have to look at, but you got to think one of these three is going to have a good game, maybe multiple, and the price tag's good on Valentine and Lawfrey. I like playing one of these guys when one or two of them are out. But I don't love it when all three are active and healthy. And that would be my preferred way to play it. Now, granted, from an opportunity standpoint, maybe you're able to play Altmaier, an Altmaier double with Raymond to be a little bit different. So an injury to keep an eye on is going to be Ian Strong. I'm not saying I would play Sheffield no matter what. I really wouldn't. At 7.1, he's too expensive. He was great at North Texas last year. He's the number 3 in this offense. I would love Strong if he played because him and KJ Duff are two great stack options with Callie McManus. They would be the two that I would play. If Strong is out, I would go Callie McManus with a single stack of KJ Duff, especially coming off of a 6-catch, 241-yard game. He would be the clear top option in this offense for me. But if Strong's healthy and back, I prefer Strong is the 1A. So a single stack of Callie McManus and Strong, perfectly happy as that being a pairing with a potential Miami stack. Or you can go Strong Duff as a triple with Callie McManus, no problem whatsoever. And that's basically playing that Illinois run game is kind of broken up. There's some spread out production, yada, yada. And you're able to just play catch up in that spot. Stack partners for Luke Altmaier in the situation that you want to play Raymond, Altmaier, if you want to game stack fully. I think Beatty is definitely going to have to be in there. He's the clear top option in this offense. He has explosive games that he's had early in the season. He gets the most target volume. Perfectly happy playing him. Colin Dixon is the clear number 2 in this offense. Finds the end zone a good bit. Haven't really seen a massive ceiling game out of Dixon, but the price is still good, and it's kind of factored in. I'm not a Cole Russ guy, personally. He's played okay the last 2 weeks, just not my favorite target. Limited upside there. I wish Bowick would be more of a thing at 5K. He can catch a touchdown. He just doesn't. He's not on the field enough for my money. So it would really be, these are very easy stack partners, very clear top 2 with Beatty and Dixon and Duff and Strong. Strong being the 1, Duff being the 2, provided Strong does play. The pricing should be flipped on those 2, but isn't because of Strong missing that last game or being banged up in the last game. And Duff just went ape doo-doo in that game. All right, Indiana takes on Maryland. Indiana's going to kick the crap out of Maryland. 50.5 in this one. 36-point projection on Indiana. 14.5 on Maryland. I will not be playing Malik Washington. He is a very good player. There's plenty of matchups when he is on the slate that he's worth playing. He's a very talented freshman quarterback. He's going to be very good for the long term. But against Indiana, no shot. Mendoza, the Heisman campaign moves on. I don't think I particularly want to take shots here. There's just too much risk that, like we saw last week against UCLA. Like, yes, he got to 28. I feel like he was almost fortunate to get to the 28. Maybe you can make a case that he should be in play. I don't know. Maybe I think he'll be in the pool. He might be. If I want to do an Indiana onslaught, he would be in there because I really do like Roman Hemby this week. I think Kobe Martin even could be in play this week. There's a sneaky spot where Martin could get this Illinois Indiana State production against Maryland here with 22. If I was punting running back, I think 5.6, Kobe would be in play. If I needed to go way down the board, I think he's an option to play the blowout narrative here. Now, I don't know that a lot of people are going to go to Hemby. Hemby's priced up more than I want to pay for him as a running back. I'm not a Hemby guy. And at this price tag, he really does need to have an Oregon or UCLA-esque performance. The thing is I think he can get 2 touchdowns in this spot. Very similar to last week and very similar to that Oregon game. I think 20 points is well within play here. And Cignetti loves narratives. He loves to try to prove a point. Well, Hemby's a former Maryland Terror. Do you think? I think 1 touchdown is basically guaranteed that Hemby gets 1. So 10, lock in your 10 to 15, and then it's just a matter of does he get the second one? I think Hemby plays inspired. I'm interested in Hemby. So I do like the Mendoza Hemby, and then I'm going to be on Surratt again. I think a lot of people are going to be on EJ Williams because of last week's game, but it's way too thin of a play for me at 6.8. He stood out last week with his pricing at 6K. He doesn't stand out anymore. I still am willing to go back to Surratt at if I'm playing Mendoza, I'm playing Surratt. Like he there was just no yards last week. Now I think they threw for 138 yards and scored 56 points. Like, and it's not like Hemby went off. He had 80 yards rushing. It's not, the yards weren't there because UCLA couldn't even get the ball after they punted past midfield. It was just short field after short field after short field, and it just meant that your touchdown luck had to go your way. They were force feeding Surratt. He kept getting penalties called. He just could not get the yardage out of that game. I think this is a game where you see him more back into this 20-point range, and people are kind of off of it. I love the idea of a Mendoza, Hemby, Surratt stack, especially with, let's just say, with the Miami double, and then fill in that last running back. So that's well in play. It's just not my favorite way to play it, but I do think it's in play for sure. Texas Tech taking on Kansas State. That's a dangerous game for the Red Raiders. 52.5 in this one. 30 points for Texas Tech. 22.5 for Kansas State. What is our pricing? Avery Johnson at 10.6. That's a tough spot. He's playing so well right now. I think you kind of have to keep him in mind out the gate, but he has a good stack partner too. Very easy stack partner. He's a single stack guy for me. So Johnson with 1, I'm perfectly happy playing. I don't mind it. He would be a guy that I'm going to keep in there because his rushing upside has been shown a little bit lately. And I think Texas Tech, this is a sneaky spot as they're going to, going on the road. It could be interesting. I'm open to that. Bayron, perfectly happy playing him. He was banged up. He's not going to run. Now that Will Hammond's out, they're going to have to go back to him. The upside is always there for Bayron to drop 30. So I think you kind of have to keep him in play, especially knowing that Will Hammond's not there and they don't need to get reps for Will Hammond. Now, with Will Hammond not there, do they try to get him out earlier? Do they protect him? I don't know. If I was playing Bayron, I want to play him with either 2 wide receivers or Jacoby Williams and a wide receiver. Dickey's a tricky one. Tricky Dickey. I don't love his price at 9.8. I know he buried me against Kansas. Do I think Kansas State's run defense is better than Kansas? Yes. So he body bagged everybody this week who didn't play him. I didn't play him. But he didn't body me in any other game. Like 20 points isn't going to body me at 9.8. I think you keep him in play. He hasn't been playing great last couple weeks since that. I've got on the train against Arizona State, and then I've been off ever since. We'll see. I'm not certain that I'm going to want to get there, but if I have the money and I'm close, maybe I end up with a little bit in that range. Like the volume hasn't been there for Jacoby Williams. This team just scores so many different ways. Williams scored last week on a kickoff return, scored on a reception. I prefer playing him with Bayron as a stack piece because he gets so much catch volume. But at 8.2, do I really want to pay 8.2 for him? I don't know. So that's a consideration, maybe, but I'd think about it. If you're going to stack Kansas State, it's going to be through Jace Brown. It's very clear. He had 4 catches for 160 and a tud last week. He also had a number of pass interference or holding penalties where he was open. So he's a big play threat, but also their number one targeted guy. He gets rush volume. If I'm playing anybody with Avery Johnson, it's going to be Jace Brown. Similarly, I don't mind any of these guys with any of the top 4. I'm perfectly happy playing with Bayron. Caleb Douglas gets the most volume and has the best upside to score, but he's priced so appropriately there. I think Eakin bounces back and has a good week. I don't know that I prefer Eakin to Douglas. I need to look more deeper into the Kansas State matchup options. Virgil, I'm a fan of. He's just a little bit more dependent, we'll say, on the touchdown than I would like. And Carter, we need to keep an eye on because I didn't think he was he really rolled that ankle against Kansas and was out against Oklahoma State. I don't know that he's back this week. If he was a full go and I felt okay about it, I don't hate taking shots on him at 5.9. I need to see if John Carlos Miller. Yeah, so he had 4 targets against Arizona State. I don't know. I need to look into that and see, like, do they have another guy that could be super cheap? I wish Micah Hudson was good, but he's just behind everybody. Maybe he'll get a shot eventually. But yeah, I think you need to get multiple weapons if you're playing Bayron. That's for sure. Georgia taking on Florida, world's largest cocktail party. We got 50.5 over under in this one, 29 Georgia, 21.5 Florida. I don't love this game. Lagway at 72. I mean, that's a cheap price, but I don't know that I can go there. He just has not played well. Stockton at 9.9. Meh. I think this game just feels like an under game. It ends up being a big run game. I wish you could figure out one of these Georgia running backs, but I don't know that you can. Bowens at 6'4" and Frazier at 6'8". I really wish one of them you knew was going to get the whole volume. You just don't. Jaden Ball at 8'3", I will like. The matchup's not great, but I mean, like, it's hard to say I can't have interest in a guy who I know is going to get 20 touches. So if I'm going to get 20 touches, he's bound to get 9 to 10 points, and all I need to do is have him find the end zone. He's going to be a good play. So I don't mind Ball. I'll keep him in the pool for sure at 8.3. Dallas Wilson, I'm a fan of. Man. Like, it's probably Dallas Wilson, Zach Branch, I think, are very clearly the top 2 in this at 6'9" and 6'7". I don't hate those 2. Um, I wish I could figure out I feel like Noah Thomas should be a good play, but man, I can't trust it. Like, there's no way I can trust that. So with Colby Young out, I think Noah Thomas sees the field more, but it's just hard to. I think this game is very difficult to project. What happens? I don't think it's really a shootout game. It feels like a very low scoring matchup. I'm probably just going to try to stay away from it a little bit and limit my pool that way. Virginia going to take on Cal. Virginia needs to be on upset alert. 53.5 over under, 28.5 for Virginia, 25 for Cal. Cal went from, they played at Virginia Tech last week. They're traveling back across country. UVA is going to travel across country. Sagapatele does not run enough. I don't particularly like him at 7'9". Chandler Morris has been absolutely abysmal over the last 3 weeks, but we know the ceiling's there just off of the Stanford and Florida State games. I think you need to keep Chandler Morris in the pool at 8.5, given that's what Kyron Drones was able to do. He's a lesser player than Chandler Morris. He put up a monster stat line against Cal last week. I would keep Chandler Morris and Chandler Morris doubles in the pool. Now, my favorite way to play doubles with him is going to be Jamari Taylor. I will like Jamari Taylor a good bit because he's going to get 20 plus touches. His pass reception volume is very good. He just needs to find the end zone. But he's the top back. It's very clear. They're playing Xavier Brown's out. They're playing him a ton. He's getting a ton of work. At 9.2, I really do like him. He's going to be a staple in lineups there. Kendrick Raphael playing the definite workhorse role as well in this spot with 20 plus touches each week. I think you need to keep him in the pool, as I believe they will be able to beat up on a Virginia defense that is not great. North Carolina actually outperformed Virginia last week on a per play basis on success rate metrics. So Raphael will be a very good play at 8.6. He definitely stays in the pool. He might end up I almost want to make him a core play, but I don't trust him. DeJesus is literally a DraftKings play. He's not a Fanduel-esque play. He gets there on catch volume, not touchdowns. I'm not interested at 7.6. Raphael would be the bring back if I was going to play the triple. If Cam Ross plays, he's moderately interesting. Tron Grizzell is the big play threat in this offense. Don't really trust Mason Minnie. They're not worth playing these guys. If I'm playing anybody at wide receiver for UVA, it's going to be Harris or Ross. Ross is probable, expected to return. He's going to be important. He does have touchdown upside. He's very similar to DeJesus from a catch standpoint. At 6'4", I want to take shots there. Harris is definitely the better touchdown option for this team. The volume is just not there. He's more of a big play threat. So I'm hoping that Harris would get loose. But if I was playing it, most likely I'm going to want to play Morris and then either Harris Ross together or Taylor Ross as my favorite ways to play that. I do like Harris, and Harris has a massive ceiling. He's just very risky. Oh boy, we get a good one here. So this one is going to have, you're going to want to play everybody from this sucker. 67.5 over under for Mississippi State, Arkansas. 36-point projection on Arkansas. 31.5 Mississippi State. I'm going to want to stack this in a lot of different ways. Taylon Green is too cheap at 11.8. That is far too cheap facing Mississippi State. Even Arch Manning was good against Mississippi State. 8.5 for Blake Shapen. I don't know that I want to play Blake Shapen at 8.5. I think there's better options. He just has not played extremely well. His rushing has been disappeared. I really had high hopes early in the season that we would see him run for 30 to 50 yards a game. But his touchdowns had dried up until he got to that Texas game. Maybe we see it return this week because Arkansas is just terrible on defense. I'm willing to take shots on Chapin. I just don't love it. I definitely prefer playing Taylor Green. Taylor Green's going to end up being a core play. I guarantee that. Mike Washington, also a good play, not a great play. He gets enough volume to keep him in the room. And if the touchdown equity just went his way, maybe he's able to differentiate you there. I don't hate him at 9-1. Don't love him though either. I still think Fluff's going to be gone for a little bit longer. I've been on that train, said since the A&M game when he got hurt that he would be missing multiple weeks. He's already out 2 weeks. I think he makes it a third one this week. I'm interested in Booth because his touch volume with Bothwell out is going to be through the roof. 25 touches each of the last two, or 25 plus. The touchdowns have been there. The yards have been there. 25 points in each. I'm open to Booth, no doubt about it, because I picked on Arkansas heavily last week with Jeremiah Cobb. Devon Booth's going to be a good play against Mississippi State, or against Arkansas in this spot. So at 8.8, I will love playing Taylor Green, Devon Booth. That's obviously going to mean that Omega Blake is well within play because he's the clear number one option of this offense. He's got to find the end zone, though. I've been off of him lately, and it paid off that week. And all these other weeks, it didn't pay off against Ole Miss or A&M, but he's going to have an A&M-esque game here. Anthony Evans, don't mind this whatsoever. He needs to find the box. He's more of a possession wide receiver. Brennan Thompson's going to be your deep play threat. If I'm playing Chapin, I think I want to play Thompson and Booth with Chapin. I don't mind playing Thompson at all. There's going to be somebody for Arkansas that's cheap that pops off. The question is who? Rohan Jones has had 2 monster games. Target volume's terrible. So maybe he gets there, maybe he doesn't. Oh, he's had 3 monster games. Because 14, 23, I'd take any of those games at 5.8. Raylan Sharp has been getting more targets recently, specifically when C.J. Brown's been out, or some of those guys have been banged up, but then like C.J. Brown, can you take shots there? Meh. Like Platt's on the field some. It's like it's very difficult to project these guys out. The only guy that you can feel really comfortable with is Blake. And that's kind of where I would end my shots. I also I never hate playing Green naked. I don't love it, but he can spread it a little bit weird where Blake doesn't get there. He kind of gets the yardage, and then the touchdowns are like 1 for Cam Shanks, 1 for Platt, and 1 for Rohan Jones, and they all get under 30 yards and they don't get there. So it's possible. You can do that. I just don't want to do that personally. But I might, just because I think Taylor Green's such a good play. South Carolina heads to Ole Miss in the Grove, 54.5 over under, 33.5 Ole Miss. We're going to like Ole Miss in this one. I don't like South Carolina. They got a 21-point team total. I don't think they're very good. Sellers, I can't play at 7.8. I think that was Sellers' last stand against Bama, doing what he did. I don't see him putting up numbers, even though Ole Miss is not great. Chambliss is in play at 11-2, but he's another guy that has no stack partners that you're going to enjoy playing. He's very similar to Taylor Green, similar play. I'm probably just going to ignore it. I don't know. He's a guy that he should be a core play from a pure projection standpoint, but you can't stack him. He's just unstackable. I think Keywan Lacey's a great play. He's going to have 20 to 30 touches in this spot. He's going to score a ton of points. The floor is massive. The ceiling's massive. At 10-3, he's probably going to be my top running back play on the slate. I refuse to play anybody out of the South Carolina backfield. I refuse to play any South Carolina wide receivers. As much as everybody wants Nick Harbor to be a thing, he can't be because he's not good. He's a track runner. That's it. Go back to that, I guess. Jacobs, he had a good little 2-game stretch. He sucked ever since, so I'm out there. You can't tell me that you know who from Ole Miss is going to catch balls. You just can't. They are all over the place. Harrison Wallace started the season looking good. Now he's come back, looks okay the last couple weeks. But like, I can't tell you who's going to catch balls. I think what was that guy's name who jumped? Winston Watkins jumped up out of nowhere. The man hadn't had 100 yards all season, or right at 100 yards all season, and he pops up for 111 last week. Like, who's catching balls here, people? Can we condense this down, Lane? Like, can you help me figure this out? I still think Caden Lee's a good player. At 5.4, maybe I take shots. I don't know. I still believe in Caden Lee, but I mean, for all I know, Traylon Ray's going to come out of nowhere and he's going to catch. He's going to be the guy. I don't know. You know what I mean? For all I know, Traylon Ray's going to catch 3 touchdowns this week. Like, I have no idea what's going to happen with Ole Miss every week. So I like Keywan Lacey, and that's kind of where I'm going to be for the most part. I will play some Chambliss. I doubt I end up playing anything wide receiver wise. If I'm stuck, maybe I go to Caden Lee and just pray that I get it right. I don't know if I was stuck at a spot, but I just don't want to. So the problem with these teams, the last 3 teams right here, you go from Arkansas, where it's very easy to play Taylon Green, but he has no good stack partners. Similarly, Chambliss, very good, no good stack partners. Talk about very good with no good stack partners. I still think he should be the Heisman front runner. 57.5 over under in this one. 31.5 for Georgia Tech. 26 for NC State. NC State gives up points in bunches. I love Dave Doran, one of my favorite coaches. But man, that defense stinks. I'm hoping he's probably going to get canned. I wish he wouldn't. 13,000. I haven't seen that since Johnny Manziel, it feels like. For Haynes King, I can't play CJ Bailey. Like him, don't love him. Good gravy. 13K. Okay. I don't think Haynes King is going to be optimal this week, but his raw points are going to be insane. He's a great play by himself. It just, like, if I'm paying $1,200 less for Taylon Green's got the same upside, man. You can't stack Haynes King. He just doesn't have a guy. You know, you got to anticipate he's probably going to end up with 1 to 2 rushing touchdowns. You got to anticipate he's probably going to throw for 200 yards, but probably maybe 1, maybe 2 touchdowns, but probably 1 or 0. You know, you figure somewhere in the neighborhood of 26 to 35, 25 to 35 points, 30-ish projection probably. That's tough. I think he's 100% in your pool, but I think the price is prohibitive. I don't love CJ Bailey. I know they got a 26-point projection. Bailey's a good player for the long term. I just don't know that they get there. Smothers, his role is kind of fallen off a cliff lately. He got 11 touches last week. I'm not buying into it. I bought into it early in the season. I was lucky I did. I'm out now. Hosley and Haynes just not doing anything. It's the Haynes King show. He's kind of got the team on his back. Hosley is playing better, but I can't go there. Not at the 7K range. I'd be more interested in the 6s. I don't think Joe Lee plays. He went the full Greg Jennings route, put the team on his back last week. He did the Greg Jennings in real life, limping his way into the end zone with a broken quad, essentially. So I think he's done or not out this week. I don't think you could play any of those NC State guys. Similarly, I don't know how you pick a Georgia Tech guy to play. Rivers is the clear most talented guy. If I was playing one, I would play Rivers, but I don't want to. Canyon, he's had his moments, but it's not been great. Rutherford banged up. Maybe if Rutherford comes back, you'd be moderate interest there, but not really. Like these are all I'm stuck plays, in my opinion. Beetham, Beetham should have had 4 touchdowns last week. That dude dropped 2 and caught 2. He should have literally had 4 touchdowns. So they kept going back to him. I'll give him that. Dean Patterson, big fan of his, but he doesn't get any targets. So it's just he throws touchdowns to everybody. He runs touchdowns in. I just don't think you can play him reliably with anybody in this spot. USC taking on Nebraska as we wind down this slate. That's the problem, though. As I said, I wanted double stacks, and then now you end up with Haynes King, who's impossible to stack. You end up with Chambliss, who's terrible to try to stack, and you end up with Taylon Green, who only has one stack partner, but his one stack partner's price is high enough that he's hard to get home as a value. So it's like, how am I supposed to stack these guys, you know? So you either got to make a decision or not. Get on the pot or, you know, whatever. Either do your thing or get off the pot, I guess. USC taking on Nebraska, 59.5 over under in this one. This will be one that I'm curious what the weather is. I don't trust USC. 33-point projection for them, 26.5 for Nebraska. I don't trust USC outside of the state of California. It's kind of a trend here. I'm a sucker for Jaden Maeva, though, and I'm going to play Maeva at 10-8. Multiple touchdown passes in each of his last 4 in every game except for the Purdue game, which coincidentally was a travel game. But he did rush a touchdown in there. I think 25 and to 35 is in play, but all of his games on the road so far have been 20, 23, and 18. Does that get me home when his average on the road is kind of low in the 20s? I don't know that it does, but he does have he has 2 stack partners, and it's very obvious. So I think you're going to want to take shots because he has a very concentrated target tree, and it's very obvious where he's going with the football. Their price is probably going to be a little bit more than you'd want it to be, though. Dylan Raiola comes in at 7-4. This is not a great defense, but he's not a good quarterback. He takes too many sacks, loses too many yards. I refuse to play him. I don't think you can go here. He played great in that Michigan game, except for the negative 49 yards rushing. He basically costs you a touchdown pass every single time based on sack yardage. That's a tough way to live. I think he's good for about 18, maybe 20. I got a hard time getting there. He has clear stack partners, but I have a hard time getting there. If I was going to play Nebraska, I really want to play him through Emmett Johnson. He's getting so much work. He catches passes. He runs the ball a lot. I think 20 touches is well within his range of outcomes. 20 to 30 points, well within his range of outcomes. No problem paying 10-5. I will say I probably prefer Keywan Lacey to Emmett Johnson for that similar price range. But I don't have a problem playing either one because their volume is going to be great. Wayman Jordan's going to be out a few more weeks. I will be excited when he does come back. King Miller over here, reasonable play at 7-6. I don't think I'd kick him out of the pool, but I don't think I would say he's the best option in this spot. I would say it's those two. I don't mind keeping King Miller in, just like I don't mind Emmett Johnson being in. Naziah Hunter is the deep ball threat option here. He's fine at 7-8. Lemon is the clear number 1 for USC. I think you can do USC doubles because Jacoby Lane's the clear 2. But Lane's starting to get healthy, and it's starting to look the part. I would want to play Lane. I don't mind Maeva and Lemon and Lane. I also don't mind Maeva and Lane as a skinny with some of these other stacks. So that's going to be stuff that I'm going to work through is like, what do I want to play as singles, as doubles, and how do I want to fit them together? And that's what I'm going to start piecing together. I do like Maeva a good bit. I'm just, I'm going to tie myself to that boat. I don't want to play really the Dane Keys. Ja'Cory Barney's a better DK play. um, anytime he's on the slate because he's more of a target, low yardage, low A dot, low touchdown equity guy, and I need touchdowns here. So it'd be Lane and Lemon. I prefer Lane for the price in this spot, but I don't mind doing doubles. I wouldn't do a Maeva Lemon single skinny stack. It's going to be Maeva Lane skinny or Maeva Lemon Lane as the double, which then you could pair that with Beck and Tony. I don't mind that either. So Beck's going to feature prominently in this stuff. Oklahoma taking on Tennessee, 56.5 over under, 29.75 for Tennessee, 26.75 for Oklahoma. Feels like a little high on those totals, but Tennessee can give it up in bunches. I think now's the time to buy the Mateer train. I think he seems like he's getting a little bit healthier. He ran the ball okay last week. Tennessee is not as good of a defense as Ole Miss. It's about the same. But obviously, like, he's getting healthier. So we saw him kind of get a little bit healthier. Eventually, Mateer's going to pop. So I think you got to be willing to take chances to that you're getting that pop game. This could be it for sure. I'm not touching Aguilar. I think Oklahoma's defense is actually legit good, and I don't trust Aguilar whatsoever. Bishop, I don't know that I want to trust. Kentucky's defense shut him down pretty good last week with the two. I mean, he had the 2 touchdowns. He's just been finding the box. He's maybe in play, but I much prefer the 2 guys in the 10K range, specifically Lacey and then Booth. And then we've just seen Jamari Taylor. I'd prefer all those guys to Bishop. So I'm probably out on Bishop personally. I don't know what to make of this Oklahoma run game, so I'm not going to do it. Blaylock could easily just populate back in as the top option. I'm not going to touch that because Xavier Robertson came out of nowhere and just hit some explosives, and now all of a sudden he's going to be the top guy. I'm not going to touch any of the Oklahoma backs. I don't trust them. I'm not doing it, period. Very easily, if I'm playing Mateer, I'm playing Satania with him. Satania's the clear number 1. He plays the slot. He's been great. He's a good standalone play anyway. So I'm going to pair skinny stacks of Mateer Satania. I'm not a Brazzle guy. I think they go to shut down Brazzle. They play a little umbrella defense. I probably just am going to avoid Tennessee altogether, which sounds crazy given a 30-point team total, basically. But I do trust the Oklahoma defense to be able to kind of hold them together and hold them down. If you really want to just get freaky, you can go Kanik at 5,100. He has had some decent games early in the season, hasn't really put it back together, but at 5,100, I don't mind it as a full punt option. I still want Burks to be a thing. He's just not going to be. Gibson, good player, but I don't think you can go there. I think it's Kanik, but if I was punting and going full punt option, it's Kanik. I still like Satania, though, at 92. Paired with Mateer, it's a decent skinny stack for me. So that's a lot of stuff. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm going to run projections, get an idea. Right out the gate, I really do think I do like the Beck doubles personally. And then I think it's, like I said, it's very easy to do. Let's do this one. So, like, I don't hate the Mateer bring back here. And then we just need 2 running backs. We got an 82 range. I like the Taylor play. I like the Booth play. I like the Raphael play. Raphael is probably a pretty good play at 86. That's going to end up leaving us 70. Yeah, so let's just do that. All right, so I like this because I'm going to get volume against Baylor. I think Baylor's run defense is horrendous. 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, definitely not out of the realm of possibility for Baylor. I like Cal in this UVA game to beat UVA. So I have no problem with this. This is a good team. I'm gonna note this one because I'm gonna end up playing it. Um, so yeah, so we'll I'm gonna fiddle around with this, but this is kind of the way that I'm trying to build. I haven't been paying enough attention to Fanduel and doing enough. So I've been trying to key thing that I would tell you is go look at who's finishing in the top five, not who's finishing, but what lineups, what's the construction. Um, and this is a very popular style of construction for good reason. If you just happen to hit on the right things, you don't need to play Haynes King getting 35 because if Beck gets me 25, but his stack, gets me 75 here. And then let's say Mateer has a ceiling game at 25, 30, because Mateer's ceiling is in the 30s. Satania gets me 20, so now I'm at 55. And then my two backs get me 20 apiece. Now I'm at 40 there. So you're looking at 115 plus another, let's call it 50. That's 165. I'll take that all day out of this, but that's like a ceiling play. But what's the ceiling of this? It has that in it. The capability's there, certainly. But I think this is going to be a very high scoring slate given the number of games that I think can shoot out or will shoot out. So I think avoiding that Vanderbilt Texas game is important. I think avoiding Ohio State Penn State probably important. UGA Florida, I'm probably just going to avoid, cross off the list. I'm not super interested in Ole Miss South Carolina. I'm not super interested in Tennessee. Nebraska, not super interested in. NC State, probably out on. So like there's going to be a lot of teams that I'm just going to try to write off in this one. But I do have minimal interest in I like Arkansas and Mississippi State to shoot out as a game stack. I like playing the Baylor options. I like playing Miami's pass game. Rutgers, Illinois, I love that game. Indiana, I like some spots there. Texas Tech, Kansas State, don't mind a little bit of both sides there. Don't mind Cal, UVA, certainly. So there's a lot of ways to play it, but I'm going to try to narrow that down and kind of piece together the stuff like this that I want to play doubles. And I want to play a single bring back, and then I'll piece together the running backs as we go. So I'll be back tomorrow with the DK lineup stuff, lineup builder, player pool builder. I've kind of got my stacks down on DK of what I'm interested in playing. And then I need to run projections and get the salaries put in so I can try to figure out my point per dollar stuff. I'll get that taken care of tonight, narrow my pool down to our cores and top GPP stuff. And then Friday, I'll have the FanDuel. I'll do the player pool, but most of it's going to be just saying, hey, this is kind of the stuff that I narrowed it down to that I'm willing to piece together and make my sets out of, because everything's going to be tournament based. I'll tell you what the key guys are, but that this is going to be my builds are all going to be doubles and singles for the most part on this slate. I'm going to try something a little different. So I'll be back tomorrow. Shout out to my Dukes for winning last night. Very pleased with the victory, although we did finally give up 300 yards. But good luck over the next couple days and tonight with playing a little DFS late in the slate. So I will be back tomorrow. I'll see you at the same time as usual. Good luck, everybody.